Now, here's George Roberts.
Welcome everybody, I'm George Roberts. Joining me is Vicki Hicks, who is owner of Massage Academy of the Poconos, and also you have a location in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands.
We do,
Very
yes.
cool.
Yes, Massage Academy, VI, yes.
Wow, we're going to talk about massages because I think a lot of people still believe it's for the rich and famous. And it's become a lot more mainstream, hasn't it?
It has, and I have to say that although COVID was so traumatic on so many levels for all of us, I think people really understand now the value of stress reduction, a good immune system, and being able to take care of themselves in a better way than we have previously than 5-6 years ago. But massage therapy, I can't talk about without talking about how I experienced my first massage, dating myself.
That's like 3 decades ago? Is that
a long time
is
ago.
That how far back we're going?
We're going to go back, yeah. Let's say 39 years ago. My daughter was a year old. She just turned 40.
Okay.
And I had my first massage at a fitness center I went to. I was always very, I was a runner, took care of myself. I always ate good, and I understood that concept back then. And I had my first massage.
Is that a standard massage?
It was a sports massage, at a
Is that
facility
like more
in New
deep
Jersey.
Tissue?
Yes, yeah, more deep tissue. But when you're 5'1" and you get up off the table and you feel like you're 5'5", I just said, wow. I just couldn't believe it. It was just a whim. I saw a sign, I went in, and this was in New Jersey, North Jersey, back then, and I was a medical assistant, and I just realized the impact. The next day, my run was amazing, so I started having regular massage, and then I realized, I want to learn how to do this. I want to implement this in my lifestyle.
There's something more to this
yes.
than you realized.
Yeah, it was amazing, and no one got it. Exactly, everybody thought this. You're not from California. This is for the rich and famous. What are you doing? You're going to go to massage school, and I found a fabulous program in Denville, New Jersey, and I started massage classes back in 38 years ago, and
so you started
I've never looked back.
Classes
I started taking classes. That's when I got my training. Yeah.
And I know back then, especially in our area here, a lot of times you get a massage at a resort. I mean, there wasn't very few massage places. So where did you start doing massages?
So in New Jersey, I started there working with a fitness center, and I also worked for medical doctors, so I was helping them. There were some post-surgical things that they were doing at that time, and I would work with those patients. And then we moved to the Poconos.
Let me just back up a second. Did the medical society embrace what you were doing? I mean, sometimes
actually,
they don't look at this as
they were pretty progressive. They did.
Okay.
They did. I worked for an OBGYN group, and they understood the value of it, and one of the doctors was also a runner. He was a marathoner. So of course, when I came back and talked about the difference, it just made it just brought a hype that we didn't understand before.
Sure.
I just never understood it.
Okay. So then you moved here to the Poconos, and did you immediately work on starting Massage Academy, or did you do something else?
No, it wasn't like a dream of mine. It was just, again, I believe massage is a calling. I really do believe I was blessed for that calling and to understand, and went with it. Just strong faith, and went with this. And I started working, I had rented space out of a chiropractic office up in Mount Pocono, and then I did some work out of one of the resorts that were here. I worked for someone, and then eventually that manager came to me and said, we're looking to expand this, and I had an affiliation with a school that was all the way in the Bethlehem area, and then I started hiring therapists to work for me. So the concept of, that's how it started in the resort. People were there treating themselves. They would come from New York City, come up for the weekend, and get massage,
Right.
And so I was actually one of the first in the area to start growing that concept. And this was, again, dating myself a long time ago. And then after about 5 years, I realized that maybe it was time to think about a training program. And when I developed the training program, I had all the experience of being a massage therapist, but also the experience of owning a business and trying to fit together a program what we needed. What should a therapist really know? And as, you know, to help grow a business, as well as safe massage therapy and safe boundaries and ethics and everything that goes, you know, and that's involved in providing massage therapy. So that's when I started working on the program, and it took a few years to get to that point. It was a big task.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're licensed through the department, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, through private license schools.
Okay.
And that was a very big task. I had to invest in the building. I had to make this a school, be a school. I could not advertise it. I could not sign up my first student until they walked through the building and said, yes.
Okay.
You're approved.
Right.
So
And
it was a chance.
the building we're in now is the building that was the first massage academy?
Yes.
Okay. How easy was it to get students to sign up?
Actually, it was, once I had that okay to do it, we had people who heard about it, so they were waiting, but I literally could not do anything until I was approved, right? So we didn't even have, I don't think we even had Facebook or anything like that at the time, but it got out there. And we ran, I believe, a day class, a night class. We were super busy then, yeah.
This building here, people don't remember, there used to be a Mr. Z's food,
Weiss Market,
which
Mr.
became
Z's,
Weiss
yeah,
Market. It was
yeah.
Mr. Z's originally, and they had office space here on Phillip Street in Stroudsburg, and when they sold, this became available, and a good find for you.
Yes.
Lots of room, lots of parking,
Yes.
you know,
We
easy
have
access.
Plenty of parking. I think we have parking for up to 65 cars here, which no one has that anymore,
Yeah.
right? So yes, if you come to our establishment, you don't have to find on-street parking. We have plenty of parking. We have a 5,400 square foot facility, and we have a nice big classroom, relaxation rooms, and we have, you know, 8 treatment rooms now. So it's a nice facility. Yeah, it's really cool.
Massage therapy is a very physical career. I mean, this is, it's not sitting behind a desk. You're actually doing work.
Yes.
And it takes time.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I remember in the day when I practiced full time, I could eat anything I want because you're constantly burning it off. It was great, you know. But yes, it is very physical. So if for anyone who is looking into the career, you have to take care of yourself, and you learn that. You learn that through the program. You know, you really. We've had people come through here who were previously smokers, and they actually gave up smoking while they became a therapist, and they just adopted a whole different lifestyle to be able to keep their body strong.
It involves knowing things about physiology and anatomy, because you're working on parts of the body. And I know when I get a massage, you know, I feel them like digging or moving, and things are popping around and things like, it seems that way anyway. But I never leave here like, oh, I can't move an arm or a leg.
Right.
You know?
So, and again, that's the training that is involved, and the therapist being very in tune to the client. So some of the things that we learn is, you know, we learn to read your body language. You know, if we're working too deep, even though we ask you to let us know if the pressure is okay, some people might just not say anything, but we learn to see the body language. If somebody's tightening up, we can feel where there's tightness in a muscle. We can actually feel the tension, and you can actually feel when it releases. And a lot of that is the trust that has to happen between the client and you. And they have to feel safe, and they have to feel that you're not going to cause pain to them. Sometimes you come in here and you're in pain, so it may be painful. Some people think, you know, only deep massages is what they need, but we really manage that side of it because we're trying to take into account the type of work you do, the type of injury you might have, the type of stress you might be carrying, and those things help us know where in your body you will hold that. It's important when you're doing an intake to kind of, it helps us read what you may need, you know.
Sure.
If like that person knew when I was a runner that my hamstrings and my quadriceps needed to be really worked because I ran often.
Right.
So-
You know, when you go to a massage facility, you're looking at the services on the menu. There are a lot of things on there.
Yes.
And I think maybe it might help people at home to know something a little bit about each of the different types. Like when we see Swedish massage, what does that mean?
So that is the Swedish massage is a very light, it's a light to medium pressure, full body massage. It is, I guess I would say it's probably the original massage from the day, you know.
Okay.
And it was used for athletes, and a lot of people today think, you know, oh, Swedish massage is not like having a deep tissue massage, but there are a lot of benefits in Swedish massage because it's helping you relax. It's also helping to move around your lymphatics, which there's a lot more study happening now about our lymphatic system, especially through COVID, because again, that is our lymphatic system is what manages our immune system. So having those fluids moved, and the only way to make them move is you have to move around, or we manually help to move some of that. So lymphatics could become a large problem post-surgical, or people who are not moving. I mean, moving is life.
Yeah,
So,
got to keep moving.
yeah,
or
you have
it's
to keep
just
moving.
standing still.
Yes.
You mentioned deep tissue massage. Now, I guess that is what it means. You're getting further down.
A level
in.
deeper,
Yeah.
yes. You're going a level deeper. You might be addressing where there's more of a restrictive area for someone. And there's other techniques called myofascial, which just means muscle and fascia. And there's that layer of fascia in our body, and that's the best way to describe it. I always describe it for a student or for my clients. If you take the fascia gets stuck, so if you have scarring, if you were to take a piece of spandex and it stretches and it goes all which ways, and you slice that and you sew it, that would be your scar tissue, and then you stretch it and you have kinks, right? So sometimes that fascia is just stuck and it's not hydrated, or there was an injury there, and that's where we get into with a more deep tissue, is we're going to focus on that area. It doesn't always have to mean the full body, it could just mean we're going to focus in that area.
Can you tell if you're good at doing massages, then you can tell when there's maybe something going on somewhere, and then you can do something. Like sometimes I'm having a massage and it seems like all of a sudden they're spending more time on one
Yes,
area.
That's exactly why. We can feel it. So that's part of the training. When we palpate, we can feel underneath the skin, and we can feel restriction. And that comes with training, being in tune. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you could do that training. There's different exercises that we can do, but most of that happens in the classroom, and you're working and you're just doing so many massages, and then they go through student clinic and you're seeing all different people, all different body types, all different types of restrictions on people. So, and we actually feel it. We can feel when it releases too. It's a really cool feeling when it first happens. It's
We talk
amazing.
about things like using stones. That's like, is that like an add-on to, or is that just is that an actual massage?
It's an actual massage. So
Like the
we
hot stones,
integrate
like-
it, right? We integrate the hot stones, or we sometimes use cold stones or gua sha stones, flat stones. So sometimes there are tools involved in what we're doing. As massage therapists and anyone who's thinking of the career, again, you have to take care of your body, but like my hands, I can never practice today at 62. I can't practice the way that I did 20 years ago.
What about this thing called cupping? I mean, I've seen it done. It looks odd.
Yeah, so that works
but-
the opposite. It's pulling instead of pushing. Everything we do with massages, we're pushing in, and the cupping kind of helps to, I believe it's like more Eastern philosophy where it started, but it helps to, that layer of fascia and between the skin, the fascia, and the muscle, it helps to kind of lift that and soften that area. So we have different modalities that we use.
And if they ask if you want like aromatherapy, for example, is that's like an add-on? Is that like it enhances the experience? Is that what that's all about?
Certain aromas, let's say lavender will be more calming, have a more calming effect. And something citrus like orange or lemon or lemongrass will be more of an uplifting effect. So you can create different blends. And we do offer a lot of our specialty services that we do, where we might add a little warm, a heated service, mud, and a little bit of stone, hot stone within the service, and an aromatherapy is to kind of bring you to that place, that relaxation, or I need energy, like peppermint is more of a pick-me-up type of a aroma.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Vicki,
It smells great.
Who should consider getting a massage?
I mean, relatively everyone can. It is important that we do an intake form. And that intake form, a lot of people when they come in, they're like, I just want a massage, and they don't realize why they have to answer all these questions. There could be contraindications with certain medications. If someone's, let's say, going through chemotherapy or radiation therapy currently, or they are on a blood thinner, we need to know that, because certain types of massages wouldn't be appropriate, and we would have to adjust the type of massage and adjust even the practitioner that's trained in that sort of massage. So there's your typical healthy person who may just be on some blood pressure medication or diabetes, and then we wouldn't recommend certain services. But that's why it's important for us to know that, because we're here to help and not do any harm.
With Vicki Hicks, who's the owner of Massage Academy of the Poconos. And Vicki, what should people expect during a massage session?
Well, they would expect the intake when they get here if it's a first visit, and then the therapist will introduce themselves, and then they will bring them into the treatment room. We give you privacy when we give you privacy to get on the table. We usually ask you to undress to your comfort level, and then you are draped throughout the service.
Okay.
And that's all part of their training is, the draping and the massage therapy itself. And then we step out when we're finished, let you know that we're finished, and we give you some time to get dressed and come back out.
Okay. I think people also wonder, there's a little music playing and stuff.
Yes.
Do I stay quiet? Do I talk? Do I interact? What's the protocol here?
So, yes, and we have everybody's different,
Everybody's
right?
different,
So
right.
some people might, if it's their first massage, they might be a little nervous, so they might want to talk a little bit to get the rapport with the therapist. I feel like your massage experience is accumulative. Once you find the therapist that you're comfortable with, each time you'll relax more, because they know you, you know them, and it works out. But it's really up to you. We just ask that if you are talking, that you're not disrupting the people next to in the next room. You would get more out of relaxing, but for some people, they're just might be nervous and they might talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And the therapist should never be talking too much. It should always just be that the client needs to say something, we respond back, but
Sure.
to get into full conversations. And not that doesn't happen, because some people, that's what they need when they're having their therapy,
Right.
So
If you're doing a
depends
couples
on it.
massage, maybe
Yeah,
your couple doesn't, the person with you doesn't want to be
Want to hear it,
hearing
yeah,
it either.
those get interesting, yeah.
You mentioned before about pressure. Some people may feel uncomfortable about saying to the therapist, you're too hard or it's too much,
Right.
because they feel maybe they're going to insult the therapist, or how should they approach that?
It's not at all insulting. We need your feedback, because especially if we can't read your body language and you're not really just, like, oh, that hurts. And usually when someone's in pain and you touch a spot, you're going to feel them tighten up. But it's important to communicate. That's part of our job, is to be able to have a good communication with you. It's not that I'm the one in charge of everything, because you might not feel okay with something. It's important to communicate that to us.
Is there any challenges that a massage therapist faces in the job?
Probably most just energy, like keeping up, timing when clients are late, it throws our day off, and that's, things like that.
I mean, these last 30 minutes, they last 60 minutes. You could have a 90-minute, right?
Yes.
Massage.
Yes.
That's a long time to be
pacing,
to
yeah.
be working. I mean,
Yes.
the therapist is working
Yes.
90 minutes
Yes.
on a
Yes.
person.
It is a lot.
I don't know how they do
It
it.
is a lot. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's, people will say, well, can't you just take one more? And sometimes we just can't. Sometimes after 4 or 5, we're done for the day. So it is important to take care of yourself.
Now, besides Massage Academy of the Poconos here in Stroudsburg,
Mm-hmm.
you have services in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands.
We do, yes.
That recently came about. What goes on there?
So it's a very small, very small program compared to here. We bought a place there in 2011 after the crash of 2008 to say someday we'll go live a simple life on an island, right? And then when I'm there, I decide to get my license because that's just who I am. So
Sure.
just in case I want to do massage, I want to do it legally.
Yeah.
So I went and applied for my license, and there you do it through the Department of Health. And when she saw that I owned a massage school, because I had my resume and everything, she said, we need a school here. We don't have a training program here. And I just said, oh, well, I just come here sometimes, right? Because I used to Airbnb the place, and we would just go down a few times a year. And I said, I promise you someday if I'm there more, I will see what I can do. It hit me that you have to have a stateside education, but there was no place to train a local resident. They had to leave and go to Miami or Atlanta or wherever they went in the States, and a lot of times they didn't come back. So they had a hard time filling that requirement for the resorts and stuff there. Department of Labor and Department of Health worked with me to start a training program there. So we've graduated, I think, about 15 people, and they have to leave the island to take the test to come back and get their license, but St. Thomas now offers the test, so it makes it a little bit easier. They don't have to come stateside to do it. And currently we are affiliated with the Buccaneer Hotel, so just as I worked with the resorts here, a lot of those therapists work for me over at the Buccaneer Hotel. Okay. So it's great. And anybody who wants to get licensed in the Virgin Islands and come down and do some, island work on the off season here, they're welcome to do that. So.
Vicki Hicks, owner of Massage Academy of the Poconos. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. I appreciate it. Thank you.